It's live on my end.
Hey everyone, this is Adam at carnewscafe.com. I'm one of the co-founders and editors. If you'd like to tweet me any questions, comments about today's show, I'm Adam Yamada, Yamada on Twitter, and we're at Carnews Cafe on Twitter too. I try and be pretty active on there. Uh, Today's show notes, you'll be able to find those at carnewscafe.com/EV. So podcast 3. So again, Carnews Cafe/EV podcast 3. And I'm here with my two colleagues, Aaron Turpin and Nicholas Zard.
Hello, everybody. This is Aaron from carnewscafe.com. And yeah, today we're going to talk about Tesla. Tesla, Tesla, Tesla!
And hi, this is Nicholas Zart, signing in for Car News Cafe. And indeed, did you hear anything else but Tesla this week? Or last week? Or whenever?
Yeah. So today's topic is Tesla marketing specifically. We've had a lot of back and forth about this, about Tesla, whether they have a traditional marketing department, whether what they do can be considered traditional PR and marketing, which I would say yes, it is. Um, and some people wouldn't agree with me about that, specifically Nicholas. Um, but I guess I'm curious, Nicholas, what's your view of Tesla marketing and how they do press relations since you work mainly in electric cars and electric vehicles?
Well, I mean, I think they're true to their startup roots, and they're true to their thinking outside the mold kind of thing. They don't have a traditional marketing department. To this day, I haven't seen a single. No, I've seen one advertising, and that was on the Malibu magazine, but that was just a favor because somebody knew somebody kind of thing. But there's no advertising, and the only advertising is word of mouth or little lemmings like us who write about Tesla. So their marketing department, if you can call it that, is basically just a fraction of what other people do, and I think that's the brilliance about Tesla, at least Elon Musk and his friends.
Okay, Aaron, what are your thoughts about that? Because your opinion, which I'm just going to agree with, is that sure, Tesla doesn't do advertising, but yeah, they do actually do they do have a marketing department and they do have PR people, whether they like to be called that or not.
Well, Tesla, first off, they send out press releases, so they have to have a PR department of
Yeah,
some kind.
true, true.
Also, they have a blog, and they have most people wouldn't know this, but they have handlers. They have people who craft exactly what Elon Musk is going to say, or how he's going to say it, or what it's going to read like on the blog, that sort of thing. They have people that vet that sort of thing, and every company that has any sort of publicity should do that. Um, they have all of the aspects, I think, of a traditional marketing department. But what Tesla does is not marketing in the most people, when they think of marketing, they think of newspaper ads and television ads and stuff like that, but that's advertising, and advertising is just a part of marketing. What Tesla's doing is branding, and it's very important for the long term of any company that you have a very solid brand. uh, People have understood that since the earliest days of marketing, and even before that. Even Joe the blacksmith knew that in order for people to come to him, he had to produce good product consistently, and he had to be known as the upstanding blacksmith that does good work. So, moving it forward to today, the difference is just how you go about the branding. In Tesla's case, what they're doing is very similar to what was done in the later days, and probably currently, but into the later days of Apple. But Apple's not a very good example as a parallel, because Apple was already established by the time they started doing this, because they
Well,
started in the old days, right?
I guess we should go back a little bit. You
So
actually have a little bit of marketing experience.
I do have some. I don't have a lot. I don't enjoy marketing, so I don't do a lot of it. It's probably my weakest point. I would probably be far more successful than I am had I pursued marketing a little more. I think, though, going back,
You worked as a press relations person though for a political campaign, is what I'm trying to say.
yeah, for several of them, and for a political party. But what I would say, though, is that was a little different too, because what we were that politics is short
I
term.
mean, it's a
It's
yeah
not long
different.
term. So you're doing a very different. You're trying to make an impact right away, not over time. Um, but going back, I think if we're going to look at marketing and we're going to draw a parallel with Tesla, because Nicholas and I have argued before that um, that you really can't find a parallel to Tesla because there aren't, it's just too hard to find a carbon copy of that company or anything that's very similar. But the closest that I can think of would be Google. Google has never really had a traditional marketing in terms of advertising before, but they have a huge amount of branding. Branding to the point that now when we say let's go search for it, we don't say go search for it. We say go Google it. That is the
Well, I don't
product.
think Tesla is actually at the point where people say electric car and they automatically
Well,
think Tesla.
like I said, it's impossible to find exact parallels to anything. Um,
Right.
but I think Google is the closest in terms of marketing strategy. And
Google at this point though does do a fair amount of TV advertising and other forms of I guess people would say traditional advertising.
right, but that's because they're further ahead than Tesla is. Tesla
Well, they
itself
also
didn't have
make
to start
they
advertising.
they also actually make a lot of money,
Well,
obviously.
the big difference though is that Google has moved into different. Google, like Tesla, has a wide portfolio of plans. Right, they plan to do a lot of things. Tesla wants to be an energy company that happens to make cars. That appears to be what they're aiming
Well,
for.
yeah, actually about that, um, one of the stories this week was they're planning to they're going to build their Gigafactory in Nevada, and that's
Right.
been really all over the auto news and actually news in general. So
Yeah,
I guess
and I would
Nicholas,
point out,
well,
by the
I
way,
want
that
to
that piece of information has managed to. I think Tesla might have. I don't know for sure, but they seem to have engineered that announcement to go at a time when what should be the big news is that the brand new BMW i3 electric car is outselling the Model S. And that's that's but that nobody's heard that news because everybody's talking about, oh, they're going
Yeah,
to be building
Aaron
in
told me this
Carson.
before. Now I want to get back to Nicholas because he actually wrote a
Yeah.
piece on Tesla Ratty about Tesla advertising, which to say they don't actually really have any currently, which is true. But there's an interesting quotes that he had from their chief marketing officer, Alexis Georgeson. Do you want to read these, Nicholas?
I don't have it in front of me, so you can read it.
So she said Tesla has no plans to hire agencies or run ads in the near future. The in-house marketing team has only 7 staffers, and an internal team runs the website where customers order directly. By contrast, Nissan spent 25 million advertising its Leaf EV in 2012. She goes on. Right now, the stores are our advertising. We're very confident we can sell 20,000 plus cars a year without paid advertising. And it might be something we'll do years down the road, but it is certainly not something we feel is crucial for sales right now. And I would say that's probably true. They get so much press just by working their press releases. And something to keep in mind, every time they send out a press release, they rarely don't do it without a blog post. So that usually journalists and bloggers and writers, they don't link to press releases. We usually just take that and put our opinions or spins on it. But they have blog posts that go along with those usually, and people are inclined to link to those, which I think probably really helps their
Yeah, and I would
traffic.
point out just a little tidbit is that their blog post usually has some sort of small like quotable quote or something in it that isn't in the
Yeah, but
press release.
everybody does that. Yeah, but yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, a lot of companies do that.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying it's unique to Tesla. I'm just saying that's
But
why people
right,
link
right.
to the blog post.
True, true. So back to, I guess, Nicholas, what's your opinion about Tesla marketing versus, whether it can be defined as advertising, what do you see as the difference there?
You mean the difference compared to a traditional company?
Yeah, yeah, like how do you view marketing versus advertising? Because we were talking about this a little before we got on this podcast.
Well, I think I mean if you really have to take a bird's eye view, but Tesla is sort of the in between the startup and established company status, right? And they're only doing what every startup that are successful now have been doing is you develop the technology inside, you develop the culture inside, and then you let it loose. So the only marketing that they have is pure strategy. So just like you said, they're staffers. They're not real people working with diplomas and everything with that. I've talked to Alexis a few times before. She is actually a real PR person. And to my knowledge, she was the first and only real PR person that stepped up at Tesla. 2 years ago, there was no one. She wasn't even there. Actually, she just came on board 2 years ago. But I think the difference is, if you look at Apple, I think Apple pretty much started the same way. Once the buzz was out, once people knew what it was, once they started making a lot of money, they actually started advertising. So it's pretty clear that Tesla is taking that recipe and it's bringing it up to more modern times. I think they will follow the Apple and Google route. It's just normal. But yeah, they don't need to advertise. I mean, look at what they're doing in what are some of those Midwest states where they have their Tesla shops. They have a list of current clients who will take you for a drive or will even let you drive their own Model S. That's
Whoa.
simple, brilliant marketing. You don't need to spend a cent on that. People are excited. They love the product.
So these are
So if you think,
personal
yeah,
people
yeah, absolutely.
that just
Yeah, this
own
is like,
Teslas, and they say,
let's say,
we won't put you in a car with a salesman. We'll put you in a car with someone who owns one and who will basically just sell it for us. That's basically
absolutely. Yeah, but think about it now. Now
wow.
you have a third-party neutral enthusiast who's saying, "Hey, I bought this car, and I'll let you drive it, and I'll tell you why." And Tesla doesn't have anything to say about it. I mean, isn't that beautiful? That this is the
I would,
epitome of modern marketing these days.
yeah, I would point out that that's not unique to Tesla. Talking with dealerships who
Oh, of
sell the
course, there.
Nissan Leaf,
Of
their
course,
number
there.
one
Yeah, I mean, there's
number
always
one seller
examples.
are
Yeah,
people
of
who
course.
show other people the car, and then they just come in. In fact, the dealership
I
here in
think
town
I actually think that's
told me
probably
that people come in and just order the car. They don't even want to test drive
Yeah,
it
but Aaron,
because
of
they've
course, there are always
already done
examples.
that.
Yeah, there are always
Yeah,
examples.
and
It's
that's going to
always
be
been
true
done.
of
I mean, I
any.
don't think nobody says Tesla is inventing everything from
Yeah,
scratch here. But what they're doing is they're just like I said before. They're taking those trends. They're taking exactly what Apple and Google have done. They're just bringing it up to speed. And in many ways, I think Tesla is Business 3.0. It's a template, and they're developing it. And 20 years down the road, there will be another company that will do something as revolutionary. So, of course, all these bits and pieces exist. The genius is putting them together in a smart way. It's not inventing.
okay.
It's putting
So
it all
right.
together.
okay, so let's say I have a company. I want to start a software company. How do I create as much buzz for it without paying for advertising as Tesla does, and making sure people know that my product is out there and it's good
Oh,
and people won't criticize
do
it?
you- no, but you know what?
Oh, the
Actually, well,
golden
here's
question.
yeah, the golden question, and it always starts with that that one horrible question: is what's so unique about it? What purpose does it serve? What does it really do? And I think once you find that thing that demarks you from the rest of the fray, then you have it. And all you need to do after that is do exactly what these companies are doing, like Lightning Motorcycles, like all these guys. You develop it in house. You don't let anybody know about it. Everything. I mean, look at Apple. I think is the sort of the template everybody looks up to, right? Everything happens inside with John Ives. It's a locked place. Yeah, staffers can go in and they get their hands on it, but they have to sign their lives away. Everything happens inside. Nobody knows about it. Journalists are not allowed. Once they really have the hang of it, it's really cool. It works really well. They just put it out there, and that's it. So if you had, like, let's say a program that
I think People compare Apple to Tesla a lot, and maybe the comparisons are justified in some instances, but in terms of marketing and advertising, I actually think they're on very different ends of the spectrum. I mean,
Actually,
because
if you
Apple
if
is a
you
huge company, right? And they
yeah,
do a
but go
ton of
back to the
advertising, and
yeah,
their
but go,
marketing is pretty established and
yeah, but
somewhat
you're
traditional.
looking at Apple down the road. I mean, if you go back to Apple way before, or even
Right.
let's say something even simple like the late '90s when Apple was crashing and Steve Jobs came in, there wasn't a lot of advertising. They didn't have a heck of a lot of money, and Steve Jobs knew to do the best thing you can
What
do is you
he put
develop
up,
everything locally.
he started to put up signs though that said "Think different," and it was had just pictures of leaders like Einstein and people like that. So
Exactly.
that was,
So now,
I mean, that's, I'm sorry,
sure.
but that's advertising.
Yes, but okay, all right. So that's a very good point. Now, that's been done. Are you going to redo it? No, because
Yeah,
then you'd be a copycat. So what do? You take it a step next. You create the mystery around it. Wow, Tesla is working on batteries. You know that right now they're working on graphene, the better graphene batteries right now, but that's all we know. So in the back of our mind, we're thinking, wow, 500-mile cars now. Do they need to put a sign out there? No, because they've already said it once or twice. Plus, it's the age of internet. Back then, we didn't have the internet the
right.
way that we have it now. So it's a totally different time. And then,
That
think
that's
30 years
something
down
that
the
we
road,
should
we'll
point
have a
out.
different medium.
That's something we should point out is at this point in time, it's possible to do what Tesla's doing. 5 years ago, it really wasn't. 10 years ago, it definitely wasn't. And 5 years from now, it's going to be completely different again
It'll
because
be déjà vu.
technology changes, the way people are communicating, the speed that we communicate with, all of that stuff changes over time. And the platforms you're using for that communication. With Tesla, you have to going back to Nicholas, where you said that they developed the technology. Well, we should point out Musk sold PayPal in 2002. Tesla didn't start until 2004. Everybody assumes that during that 2 years he was only working on SpaceX, but
Nope.
that's not true. During that 2 years, they were building the Tesla Roadster. They were testing it, fiddling with it, working with how it was going to work, figuring out what batteries were going to do, what kind of motor to use, all that stuff. They were building their technology. And most companies today, it seems, a lot of the startups don't do that. They come up with the idea, they make maybe a small prototype or something, but they expect that from idea to investment, it's only going to be a 6-month gap or something. They expect that they're going to be able to run out there and make millions of
Yeah, they
dollars
they run
really
an
fast.
Indiegogo campaign or
Whereas
something like that and hope to get
exactly.
the money to do it. Or
Whereas the ones that make it are the ones that have a long-term look. Look at LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been bootstrapping for years before they ever took any money from anybody. They ran and now it's hugely successful. Where do you go when you're looking for colleagues? You go to LinkedIn, right? Um, it's the same idea. Tesla's following that same model. Google followed the same model. Most companies followed that same model. Even Facebook did that. So it's just how it works. And
It, I think you.
I just wanted to point that out that
Yeah, no, but
Tesla didn't just jump out there and say, "Look, electric car,"
no,
and
and
everybody
that's
was
exactly
interested
right.
in them. It's
I
that they
think
came
Aaron.
out with an electric car that was awesome, and then everybody
Yeah,
was.
well, yeah, I think, and just to actually further prove your point, Aaron, and I think the world is always divided between the Microsofts and the Apples, right?
Right.
So actually, Elon Musk and Martin Eberhard did not, design a car from scratch. The Roadster. They actually
Right.
went to AC Propulsion. AC Propulsion had the amazing T0. Unfortunately for AC Propulsion, they didn't want to manufacture it or sell it or anything like that, which led these two to think, all right, well, let's do it on our own. So that was the first thing. But you're right. The difference between a lot of these startups and something like Tesla, at least that you can measure in terms of success, is what is the vision? And the vision was very simple. How can I have a fun electric car that has performance and that can actually beat other cars around? And how can it be sustainable down the road, right? And that's exactly it. And that's what differentiates the Microsofts from the Apples of this world. If you think of Microsoft, great company, business strategy-wise, blah, blah, blah. It's great. It's flat. It's drab. It's uninteresting. Now look at Apple on the other hand. It used to be innovative. It used to be wild. It used to be this, it used to be that. Look at where they are today, and think about 10 years ago, nobody would have spent a cent on an Apple stock because guess what? Microsoft had the business strategy, and Apple was just some sort of dreamer and you know, B&O sort of stereo company. But look at what happens now. Now look at Tesla, and this is where I think it's going to be interesting to see where does Google fit in it all, because Google is sort of straggling in between the Microsoft and the Apples of this world.
But
Well,
back
Google's
to my,
at the point where they're going to go over that hill. You know, it's just
Yeah.
a matter of time, and
But
they're
they're
going to
in
have
the
to
middle,
split
though.
up into different
I mean, they're-
into different sections,
Exactly.
or they're going to have to, or they're just
Exactly.
going to be a huge unwieldy beast. Either way, Microsoft didn't split, so they became a big unwieldy beast.
That was the
Apple,
mistake.
in its own way, they split because they kind of. In a lot, if you think about what Apple does now, they kind of dumped computers. They still
Well,
make
that's
them,
exactly
but
it.
it's not a big deal
Apple
for them
followed.
now.
Yeah, Apple followed the IBM business model, which is, you know,
Right.
the biggest mistake IBM did was to make computers. They were a consulting company. They know how to look at your business and say, this is what you need to do. We can help you with the consulting part. So I think Apple's finally realizing that iPods and multimedia devices is really where it's at. Plus, there's nothing to fix on it. The supposedly geniuses at their bars, they at least know how to handle that. But if you have a computer problem, you better find the right guy to fix
Well,
those things these days.
there's a parallel there. The beautiful thing about say a tablet computer and an electric car, specifically a Model S. The beautiful thing is that most everything in it, the technology, the hardware, is secondary to the
Absolutely.
software.
Absolutely.
And so that's why the Tesla, when they issued a recall, it wasn't a real recall. They just updated everybody's software.
That's it.
One of the recalls that they did. There's so few physical parts involved that it's much.
That's actually-
it's different. It's a
And
different.
actually, if you
which
if
is
you,
one of the
if you-
reasons why
Hold on,
I get
hold on, let
mad
me-
when people try to compare an
let me-
electric car to a gasoline car in
You can't.
terms of how often they get recalled and stuff, because it is not the same thing. It
It's
doesn't
not the
work
same.
Well,
the same
that,
way.
If you-
that will actually be a topic, a future topic we'll have for a podcast about reliability of electric cars. So you guys can subscribe
just-
to us
just
via
very-
Stitcher and iTunes. To
Subscribe.
get that episode.
subscribe.
Better
Just very
Also,
quickly.
our
though,
RSS feed.
just
Remember,
very quickly though, and
subscribe.
Aaron makes a good point. The only, if you look at all the recalls Tesla has ever had, two of them were physical things.
Right.
The undercarriage, the reinforcement of the undercarriage, and the bolting of the back seat belts. Think about it. The rest is actually, you don't even need to go to the office, and most of the time they come and pick it up while you're at work, and they deliver it back the same day. I mean, think about it. Who
Well,
does that?
Tesla's model, though, as in terms of service, is based on the very high-end vehicles like Aston Martin and Bentley, places like that.
Yes, without the sticker shock.
Well, I wouldn't say that either.
Not-
Not at this point. But
Wait. How much is a Bentley or an Aston Martin or a Maserati?
depends on which one you're getting. They have models that are under 100 grand.
Well,
In fact,
would you
most of
buy-
the
Well,
Aston
just about.
But do you get the same service for the ones under? This is not what I've
Yeah.
heard. Okay. Okay. Well, that's not
as far as I know.
so.
But the point is that that's where they modeled it from. And then moving forward, are they going to be able to continue that? Are they going to be able to sell a $35,000 car
Not on the
and
Gen
still
3,
have that
absolutely
same
not.
model? Right. So, but that's another aspect of their overall marketing. Right now, they're
I didn't mean
using
to say
that.
Gen 3. I actually meant to say Model 3.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
There goes. Oh, you know what?
There goes
Getting back to
Nicholas's
the topic-
credibility.
Yeah,
You
there-
don't know
there-
anything about Tesla,
go-
you bastard.
Getting back to the topic of the podcast. There goes Tesla marketing down the drain.
Well, back to I mean, actually, about sort of the hardware of Teslas, they announced fairly recently that they had an infinite mile warranty on their powertrain. And when I first saw this news, I was looking at it and I was like, I guess that's kind of cool. And then I thought about it a little bit and I realized, well, anyone could warranty a electric motor because not that much is going to
Yeah.
go wrong with it.
Do you know what
just
it's like? It's like the one-eyed man who goes up and looks up in the sky and goes, "Look,
But
look, it's blue, it's blue."
So they released this news though, right?
Yeah, of
and
course, and that's brilliant marketing right there, right?
Everybody covered it, and a lot of I would say journalists or writers I respect just didn't think about it, right?
Yeah,
They're
they
just like,
made
this
it
is
out
really
like a
great.
big deal.
They didn't really
Yeah.
do any research, so Tesla is, like I was saying, they're like impervious in some respects to criticism
Well,
by
I
some
would point
people.
out something else though. I don't fault Tesla for that. I fault the lack of intelligence or the lack of thought and journalistic intelligence that the journalists had, because really the real story was it wasn't that Tesla was announcing this huge powertrain warranty. You know that they were basically warranting the electric motor for what's the terms, Nicholas? It's like 5 years or something, or
I
eight
think
years
it's
or
eight
10 years.
years.
Yeah, 8 years.
No
Which is, by
mile,
the
no
way,
mileage.
8 years
by
and
the way,
infinite miles.
What
by the
people
way,
what
California
people
laws.
missed.
Hello,
Yeah,
hello,
yeah.
California
Sorry.
laws. Hello.
Yeah, exactly. What people missed was the fact that the real story there was that it's possible to warranty an electric motor for infinite miles. It's possible to do that. It's not possible to do that with any other powertrain, right? That was the real story there. It wasn't the
Actually,
fact that it was that Tesla was doing it. It was the fact that you can warranty an electric motor for an infinite
Yeah,
number of miles,
basically,
and
given that
also
it's inside X amount of time, because time is what kills the motor, not mileage.
not mileage, time is exactly. And also two things is you have to take it into context. At the time, I think there was
so
something else happening, so it was taking away the attention from something else to, hey, guess what we're doing? So they were basically attending to fires. But yeah, you're right. An electric motor is a question of time. If you a drag motor or a race drag motor will not last as long as an everyday car, and so it's easy to
Right.
say that. The difficult part, however, is we were focusing only on the motor. The electric motor is not the important part, but the actual drivetrain, and that is
Mhm.
the same for every other car. So that will be interesting to see how they do it. But still, it doesn't mean anything. And yeah, that's it. It was brilliant.
Well, it's
Oh, and I'm sorry, just one last thing. You
yeah.
said something that perked my attention. You're right about the journalists. What I've noticed the last 2 years is that now all of a sudden we have all these mainstream journalists and even mainstream automotive journalists who are all of a sudden talking about EVs without really knowing what the heck they're doing. So this is why, and this is actually working to Tesla's advantage as far as marketing. You've got these clueless automotive journalists who are coming in and starting to talk about EVs, and much like you said before, they're still comparing EVs to gasoline cars. But you know what? It just doesn't work. So that's why we have the state of the quality of that we
Well,
have right now with journalists.
I wouldn't say that it's only with electric cars. It happens with everything. A lot of the
Of course,
journalists
yeah.
that are
Well, I
writing
think
about
it's
vehicles
not.
right now are really, really uneducated. They're very ignorant about the history
Well,
of automotive technologies and what kind of things are in a car. You know, I am amazed at how many journalists, when I go to an event, don't know what an intercooler is, don't know what the difference between a two-piston and four-piston brake is. You know, little things that make a huge difference on on some kinds of cars. You know, and
well, most of
I
those
just am
journalists,
amazed.
they're not. They probably were newspaper reporters for the paper, and then a position opened up in their automotive department,
Yeah,
and
and you
then
know
they
what?
started
Take
working
it.
there.
Yeah,
So
take it a
for them
step
to
back.
not know about particular parts on a car, I don't. Obviously, it would be good if they did. I don't always fault them for that.
No, but also take
I
it a
think they
step
should
away.
research a little bit, but
Yeah, and take it a
that's
step
a
away.
side note.
A lot of journalists are not working anymore because times have gotten much harder,
Hmm.
and those who are surviving are just mainstream guys who all of a sudden, are talking about the topic of the day, sort of thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
so
mean
Well,
it's
and
if you
just
want
like
to
you
send
said
us
earlier, that plays into
some
not just
money,
Tesla,
that's
but
cool.
every automaker's favor.
yeah.
They use it a lot. You'll see it in the PR, the kind of stuff that gets made as headlines when it's really a non-story. And uh, Tesla is particularly deft at that, at
Yeah.
using items that are fairly, innocuous, but turning them into a huge amount of hype in
Yeah.
comparison to what their real importance. General Motors, for their part, in a little way, has done the same idea with their recall fiasco, where they're just dumping recall after recall on the market. And a lot of us, I'm looking at these recalls going, you're recalling that? But it's getting eaten up. It's getting thrown out there constantly. GM issues 5 more recalls. It's even though they're for really stupid things.
Talk
do not
about
affect the safety of the car.
Yeah, talk about fighting fire with fire. I love that. By the way, that
Yeah,
is
it's a
one of
great
the most
strategy.
brilliant marketing strategy I've seen, especially coming
That's
from GM, because GM was very traditionalist,
oh yeah.
and they know they can't fight it, and they know they can't do diddly squat about it. So let's just make it seem like we're very
And
serious about it. I love it, and they are serious
Toyota
about it.
attempted it and didn't quite get it right when they did
No,
it
Toyota, no, and Toyota's too.
a couple years
Toyota's
ago.
too backwards. I mean, I didn't mean to say backwards, but Toyota is way too traditionalist.
Right.
Toyota will never admit, and it's the Japanese mentality. They will never admit being wrong, or else that
But
means everybody has to commit suicide. So
but it's
no,
funny
that doesn't
because
work.
it's funny because it's really Sun Tzu 101. I mean, this is very
Yes,
basic
absolutely.
warfare.
The art of war. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
By the way, it's free if you have an Apple. It's free on the iBooks. I
it's
just noticed iBooks
Yeah,
is
the,
a
free. It's free
version of
on.
it.
It's in the Google Library and a bunch of other places.
The copyright on that ended a while ago.
Yeah, I think
But
so.
500 and 600 and no, what is it? 1,500 years
Yeah.
ago.
I'm pretty sure the copyright had ended by the time George Washington was reading it. So
The only copyright. This is totally off subject here, but the only copyright that was extended not too long ago was Mickey Mouse because it was more than 50
Yeah.
years ago.
Well,
and somehow
that's
Disney
a
got
whole other.
it's a whole different.
Come on,
yeah.
give me a
We aren't
break.
gonna get
All
into
right.
that.
So anyway, back to the
Another 10
marketing
years,
of Tesla's
we'll talk
marketing.
about that with Tesla. How's that?
But I mean,
Yeah,
Tesla.
exactly.
So the thing is that before we got on this podcast and we started talking about Tesla marketing, advertising, press relations, whatever you want to call it.
Can you guys tell
I
that
think-
Adam's really disappointed because we didn't get into a fight?
Well, because we all know why. Because Aaron, everybody knows you're wrong.
Oh, please.
Nicholas. Well, yeah, we were fighting
Everybody
about
knows
this.
that out of the group of us, I'm the only one with an IQ that has 3 numbers in it.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
1.1.1. 111. Aaron just said yes.
Okay, I mean, what can you do with an IQ when you only have a few years left?
Yeah. Do
So-
you know what? By the way, it's really about EQ also and IQ and what's the other thing? Anyway, no. The whole point is we were
But-
fighting because
Here
we
we
got
go.
into semantics about whether Tesla had a marketing department or not, and I said no, they don't really have. And I said really, but the really I guess must have gotten lost. They don't really have a marketing department because they don't advertise. So I meant a traditional marketing department such as Nissan's, GM's, Ford has the final say on what campaigns they will do, choosing the campaigns, what the budget will be, the allocation, and then the advertising department gets into it, and then the what is it? The communication department gets into it, then the PR department gets into it. But everything is under the marketing umbrella, and so. Tesla, very simply, if you really take a bird's eye view, it's it's still in the startup development stage of its development right now. Any money they make from selling their car, they quickly reinvest it, which, by the way, great financial tax benefits to that, and that's why they're not turning a profit yet. And of course, they don't have the time, luxury, or resources to have a real marketing department, which would, at this stage, work against them. Is that a good analysis or what?
Yeah, exactly. And we should also point out the age of Tesla. A lot of people assume that Tesla is a pretty old company. Tesla didn't actually start until 2004, and they weren't doing anything until 2008. So
Yep.
the company itself is, that's not very long. That's 10 years since its founding. And this is a
And
company
only-
that is manufacturing a product. It's not a
Yeah.
software company.
And
So-
basically, if you think about it, 2 cars in 5 years, one of which was a what's the word I'm looking for? A conversion of a
Yeah, they
of
were
an
buying a
English car.
sled.
So-
Lotus,
sled.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is that no other company, right? There's no other argument about them having a marketing or press relations department. Whereas I get a lot of emails or press releases from these companies I've never heard of, and those people always say, I'm part of the marketing team for such and such, or I'm the PR person for this company. We're trying to obviously promote this. And Tesla, it's weird to me when I hear Nicholas basically say, well, they don't have a marketing department in the traditional sense, but I just don't see how that's true because they send out press releases. They try and interact with journalists really in the same way most of these other companies do, by
think
working
that-
these email lists.
I
And
think the major difference is just that Tesla is doing it in the new way, the current way
right.
of doing things. Most of the other automotive companies, they were started in the 30s and 40s and 50s. So they're running, in a lot of ways, they're running on a
Oh,
model where they are having to convert to the new way of doing things. And most of them are not really making that conversion yet. There are very few
well,
companies.
something.
Just look
Uh,
at their media sites. Just
yeah,
go to the
yeah, yeah.
media site of, like, say, Toyota or versus Nissan. Nissan knows how to build a media site. Toyota does not. Uh, Look at the difference between how Ford reaches out on social media versus, say, General Motors. It's a it's they're all kind of trying to move forward, but
Yeah,
they don't
if
want
you
to
Yeah,
want
and
to
I
abandon
buy
that
a
think
old
Ford,
paradigm of that
go
giant
do it.
I
marketing
think
You
department
go
with
do
all
it
the
right
with
after this
I think
podcast.
simply
what
enough.
I would point out, all the Tony G's, one of our favorite phrases from a friend, with all those Tony G's who have to run the show, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think finally, I mean, simply put, Nissan, Toyota, GM, who else? Ford. All these guys have multi-million-dollar budgets for advertising and marketing. Tesla
Yeah,
doesn't. Period.
I
End
think
of
I think
discussion.
I think it's in the billions now. Uh, and we should also point out that these companies, like I said, these companies have been around for 50, 60 years, and
100 years.
Tesla has barely been around for 10. So,
Yeah.
it's a big difference in how things happen. Tesla has a manufacturing capacity of about what 2,500 or so
Yeah,
vehicles
I
a
mean
month. And
there are a lot of things they're gonna have to change if they really are want to be a big player in the automotive industry, but that's
well,
for another
they have to build
Actually,
to that
actually,
point.
podcast.
No,
That's the
actually,
idea.
I would, I
You can't
would, I
just
would
do it.
caution a lot of caution right there because you're thinking in terms of automotive. I mean, up until now, how it's been kind of thing.
Mhm.
I would seriously caution you to think like that because A, times are changing. B, what Tesla is really teaching us is that really times are changing, guys. Let's move on. It's all about
Yeah.
a new kind of car. It's all about, and second of all, Tesla is not a car maker.
Well,
That's the
let's
gross
talk
mistake that we've
let's
made.
talk about
No, no,
that next
actually,
time.
yeah,
That's a
next time we
that's a
should
good
talk about it.
subject because we should
But
talk about that.
I think you shouldn't say they will
Yeah.
have to do that because that's the beauty of Elon Musk so far is he's always proven that no, I don't have to do anything. I'm only going to do the things that make the most sense for this company, and that's irregardless of what traditionally other companies have done in specific industries. So
All
anyway,
right.
I wanted to thank you guys for proving my point that Tesla does not have a marketing department, a traditional marketing department. My God, are we?
I don't agree. That's the thing.
I don't care. I don't care. You just
I
proved my
think
point. I
I
don't
think
care.
they have a current edition of a traditional marketing department.
Yeah, an iteration
Well,
would be a better
something.
word.
Um, I I mean, something to keep in mind is what they do is that they turn really stupid things into huge hype,
Yeah,
and
but you know
then
what?
they
Everybody's
try and
doing it now.
well, yeah, but
Everybody's trying to do it.
but for
Tesla is
their
a little
big
bit more
stories, hold
successful
on,
at it.
hold on. For their big stories, what they do is they try and create a huge amount of buzz, get a lot of people talking about it, get a lot of journalists talking about it, and then when you might want to quote that's original or you might want to clarify something, they go
Crickets.
completely silent. They don't.
Crickets.
I mean, you
Yeah.
cannot get anything out of them, and the Gigafactory is a great example of that. That was pretty big news for Tesla, and most
Well,
journalists couldn't get anything out of them about that.
Oh, by the
They
way,
just-
Using
I'd like
that
to-
specifically, let me tell you
I'd like
what
to-
really cracked me up on
just
that.
wait,
was
but
the
one
fact that-
very thing, Aaron, very quickly. By the way, I did say on Tesla Ready that it will have to be Nevada, simply enough because anybody who lives around California, when they incorporate, where do they incorporate? Nevada. Why? Because of taxes. Why? Because California is really awful for businesses.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to toot my own horn.
What I was going to say is with the Gigafactory, what really cracked me up is I started reading all these headlines that the choice was Nevada, and these headlines were hours before Tesla made the actual announcement, and I don't know where that came from, why that was, but I have to assume that Tesla made a little leak and
Yeah,
probably did
sure,
it on purpose.
probably.
Made it obvious where the choice was going to be.
But there was
before
a
they-
period of time where they made sure that there wasn't any leaks, and that they
Oh,
probably
yeah.
did it at a
Oh,
very
yeah.
specific time.
I think we
leak
need
they
to
had
talk
up to that
about
point
it.
was that the Nevada site was already known
Yeah.
to have been in development.
Well,
But
And
then they
There's,
quickly
yeah,
said
but
that there's
there's
more than one site right now.
exactly, and that's the tip of the iceberg. And I think we should reserve
Yeah.
that for another topic
yeah,
because
So
what
yeah.
they've done is
So
nothing more
in
than the
in
carrot and the stick trick and everything. So I
so
think we should probably wrap it up now
yeah,
because we've been
yeah.
yeah, I
talking about
think we
this for
should
about
too.
45 minutes.
And
Well,
So
in closing, what do you think are the secret ingredients, the secret sauce to their Tesla marketing
you know
strategy,
what?
their
Okay, so
plan?
here's what I would say. Think outside the box. Don't mimic what anybody else is doing because if you think about it, traditional marketing does not work anymore. So think outside the box. This is exactly what Steve Jobs did. It's just taken to a different level. And then somebody else in 5, 10, 25 years will do something different. What do you think, Aaron?
I think that the very basic core of real business always applies. So before you start up any sort of hype machine, you better have a really good idea and you better have a good product already developed, at least
Exactly.
to the point that you can show a very good prototype before you
Absolutely.
start trying to hype it. Because the marketing should always come after you've come up with the core idea and the core product. If it comes first, you'll fail. Every company who does that fails. They might make a lot of money in a short amount of time, but they eventually fail. So you really, really need to have everything in place first, then go out and start marketing. Once you start marketing, do exactly what Nicholas said. Do everything you can think of that is not the norm, and you'll probably do well. That's it.
All right. Well, this is Adam from carnewscafe.com. This is EV podcast number 3. If you'd like to check out the show notes, this is going to be at carnewscafe.com/EV podcast and 3. You can subscribe to us on Stitcher Radio, and we're also on iTunes. If you'd rather, if you like RSS, we have an RSS feed for this podcast, which you can go grab at our show notes. And hit us up on Twitter at CarNewsCafe. Let us know what you think about Tesla. Do they have a traditional marketing department? When do you think that they might do advertising, if ever?
Well, we're talking to Tesla fans, so hey, just tell us how dumb we are.
Yes, and this
How it
is
works, right?
Nicholas Zard signing up for. And this is Nicholas Zard signing up for Car News Cafe. Hope you've enjoyed this, and let us know what your thoughts are. Tesla is a very interesting company. They know how to do a buzz. They know how to hype it up really well. But so far, I think they're doing all the right things. We'll see how it pans out in the future. Can they do no wrong? Of course they can.
And this has been Aaron. You can email me at adam@carnewscafe.com and tell me how stupid I am.
Hey,
you.
no. Aaron at Carney's. Great, now I need to change my email. Too bad. Anyway, catch you guys later.